What's going on, guys? It's Joe back again to talk about Kansas State, and I didn't think I'd make a video this fast or have this quick of a turnaround, but we've got some new news and a couple of people I want to talk about in the transfer portal. Before we do get to that, let me say, if you're enjoying the videos, if you've seen a couple and you're liking the content, go ahead and consider subscribing. It helps me out immensely. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs on the channel, and I will be giving away one of these super sweet lavender quarter zips when we do get to that point. It does help me out a lot, and I appreciate it, so I just wanted to mention that real quick. But let's get into things here today, and I want to try to keep it a little bit of a shorter video. I've made some really long ones in the past. I'm going to try to keep it around 8 minutes, but we'll see how well I do that. But let's start things off with a new update surrounding Manhattan. We've got a guy in the portal coming to visit in Joe Toussaint. Now, West Virginia. Now, it's no secret that West Virginia has their new head coach, Josh Eilert, and a lot of UK State fans might recognize the name. He was a walk-on player at Kansas State from 2002 to 2004, and once his playing career finished up, he ended up getting a job with Bob Huggins at Kansas State. The pair then left for West Virginia. We all remember that. And he's been there ever since, waiting for his turn, not obviously in the circumstances we saw, but now he gets his opportunity to lead West Virginia. And with that, Kirk Risa has already decided he's going to go back to West Virginia, which honestly, that doesn't surprise me that much. I think to an extent, a lot of these guys are going to consider that option. However, I don't think that's going to be the same for Trey Mitchell and Joe Toussaint. Now, Trey Mitchell had his official visit with Kentucky. I believe he wrapped it up last night on Sunday. Got there on Friday, spent the weekend at Kentucky. Haven't quite heard much, but I think that's probably going to be where it's at. There's a lot of people pointing him that way. Other than that, Joe Toussaint, starting off today, this morning, Joe Toussaint gets to Kansas State and stays there through Wednesday. So he's on campus Monday through Wednesday, and then he has another visit lined up Wednesday through Friday at Texas Tech. Ideally, K-State can get a commitment immediately, but that's just not always the way it works. You did see that with Arthur Kaluma before he went to visit Kentucky and a couple of other places. I don't know what's going to happen with Toussaint, but I know that every time a player can come and visit Manhattan, it's tough to leave. I mean, I know it's the same way that I felt when I got on campus, and I assume a lot of you that are K-State grads, or even just K-State fans, if you've been to Manhattan, you know the energy and the vibe. Once you get to check that out and you get the positivity with Coach Tang, Coach Dowling, and the rest of the crew, I think it's a tough thing to pass down. But we are going directly toe-to-toe with another member of the Scott Drew coaching tree in Grant McCasland at Texas Tech. Thankfully, K-State gets the first option here, and I know that people are tagging him constantly on Twitter saying, you know what, hey, why don't you come back to West Virginia? Come back, we'll get you back, it'll be all good to go. I don't think he comes back to West Virginia. I mean, I think he would have said something. I know that it's still a possibility, and I don't want to just say that's going to happen for sure, but if you've already set up 2 other visits in the Big 12, like, I also saw one delusional tweet saying, yeah, you should go study the enemies before coming back to West Virginia. I'm hoping that was a joke, because that is just an idiotic statement. If that's the case, why don't you go tour every single Big 12 school and then go back to West Virginia? But I think he's interested in K-State, especially giving us the first priority with the visit. I think it could conclude on Wednesday, but I think that Joe Toussaint being a senior guard, a senior veteran guy, you see less and less people get on campus for the first time and commit immediately the older they get up in classes. Now, you see that from time to time. If the NIL deal is really good, or if they feel a perfect vibe with campus, they'll do that. But that's not always guaranteed. I mean, Arthur Kaluma did do that with his situation. Obviously, he's coming off of 2 seasons at Creighton, joining K-State as a junior. Joe Toussaint has played 4 years of college basketball. He's in his final year. He's going to test every opportunity, I believe. So while it is possible, I don't know how likely it is to see an announcement tomorrow or Tuesday. But hey, I would be all for it. Joe Toussaint is a skilled guard, a veteran guy, fits the exact mold of a guard Tang would like, and I think he'd be a great addition to K-State. Now, I don't know if he'd start immediately over Cam Carter or what that would work out to be, but he definitely has that competitive edge. I mean, he's got a chip on his shoulder, especially with everything in West Virginia. He didn't start at West Virginia, but he was a good enough player that he averaged 10 points coming off the bench in 25 minutes or so. If he comes to K-State, whether he's coming off the bench or he's starting out there, I don't know. I think it'd be a good addition either way. Plus, you've got 2 open spots. He'd be a great get at that moment in time. I'll keep you guys updated with what I hear on that, but I don't have a ton to go off of as of right now, but we should see stuff as it comes out today. And if nothing else, go ahead and have some extra faith in the staff. I mean, we had a great run with Tyler Perry, great run with Arthur Kaluma, got both guys to commit. Anything's really possible, and I think it's a good chance of happening, but we'll have to see how that elevates. But the next guy I want to talk about in today's video, Jahvon Quinerly from Alabama. Now, a lot of people, I see a lot of memes, a lot of jokes about this guy just not living up to his potential. This dude's a 5-star prospect. He's spent 4 years in college basketball already, his first one at Villanova, then transferred to Alabama and had some decent minutes to say the least. He's a massive prospect coming out of high school. The 28th player in the class of 2019. The 28th overall prospect, a top 50 prospect, started his career off at Villanova, didn't really do a ton there, and then transferred to Alabama, and I think he had a good career. I mean, it's not to say that he's 100% been the 5-star one-and-done guy that people anticipated, but he still had a great career at Alabama. 5-star player, 28th nationally, the 8th ranked player in the class of 2019, as well as the 3rd player in the state of New Jersey. Like, he's got some great accolades to go along with that. In terms of college basketball, his first year at Villanova, chalk that up as just a scratch year. He didn't really, he played, but he just didn't really start ever, didn't get much of an opportunity. And the last couple years at Alabama hasn't really had a starting opportunity either. This past season, he only averaged 8.7 points, which I say only just because of what I'll say in a minute. 8.7 points per game, 1.9 rebounds, and 3.6 assists on 40% shooting from the field. The only reason I say only on that is the year prior, as a junior, played 33 games, started 27 of them, so it's obviously his minutes are going to go up. His production's going to go up, most likely. He goes 13.8 points per game, had, I believe, 4.2 assists per game and 3 rebounds. Like, the guy can play, and I think the biggest thing about him is his passing and facilitating of the game. He feels like a guy that could come in and immediately compete for a starting spot, especially with the type of talent he had coming out of high school. I think he could really make a difference, and he's a veteran guard as well. If nothing else, and you want to look at that, I know there's going to be a ton of people interested in him. As a 5-star prospect, you never quite know what you're going to get going into your final year, but the guy has that ability. He's got every ability to snap into things, and his passing game alone is enough upside for me to say, you know what, give him a spot. We'll see what happens if K-State will be interested in him. We don't know yet. He just entered the portal yesterday at like 6 or 7 p.m., closer to nighttime. We'll see how many teams are interested in him. I think it's going to be a chunk of people, but either way, K-State does have an opportunity to land this guy, and we'll see what happens going from there. The last thing I want to acknowledge, just real quick. Now, the other players at West Virginia. We know Kirk Krisa's return to West Virginia. They're going to be pushing pretty heavily. fans, coaches, players, whatever. They're going to be pushing heavy for Joe Toussaint and Trey Mitchell to come back to West Virginia. I don't think either of that will happen, to be honest. But what I do know with this is Kirk Krisa coming back and the players seemingly having the guy they wanted as the interim head coach. I don't see a guy like Raekwon Battle hitting the portal. At this point, I think he would have done something by now. Same thing goes for Jesse Edwards. I don't think we see either of those names hit the portal. That could change, and I'll keep you updated if I do see something like that. But I did just want to update you guys on that. I'm still holding out a little bit of hope, but I think the more days that go by at this point, the less of a chance we're going to see. Who knows, though? Maybe one of these guys, Trey Mitchell or Joe Toussaint, commits elsewhere, not just K-State, but just elsewhere in the country outside of West Virginia. And maybe that sparks a couple of guys saying, you know what, I'm out of here. I got to go. We'll see what happens. But either way, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I tried to keep it a little bit shorter today, just to try to get some time through. But if you did enjoy it, if you've been enjoying any of the videos, go ahead and hit subscribe for me. I appreciate it a ton, and it does help me out each and every day. So thank you guys so much for watching the content, engaging with the content, commenting your thoughts, and every other thing you do, sharing on social media. I really appreciate it. All you guys do for me, and vice versa. I try to do the best I can to bring you guys some K-State content talking about our favorite team. Whether this happens or not, I'll be thrilled to keep reporting it. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day, and go Cats.